Welcome. Today I'm here with Macomb County Prosecutor Pete Lucido. We're talking about the S.C.A.M program, and it really is important, and it's about safeguarding our senior citizens here in Sterling Heights. And we know that in Macomb County and the state of Michigan, our senior population is ballooning every single year, and we see these scams are on the rise. We take them at the front desk of our police department every single day. Someone's being scammed, someone's family member, someone's grandfather, grandmother is being scammed, and their bank account is being looted. And it's a complex problem, Pete, and there's no quick answer to this, but I know it's the prosecutor's office. You guys have put a lot of things in place to try to address this.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Dale. I appreciate it. Chief, it's been a great journey to get to know you and, more importantly, work with you firsthand, and doing a great job here in the city of Sterling Heights.
Thank you, and you as well.
Thank you. So here's what we have. When I came to the office, I spent a little time in the legislature, and I came up with some bills to protect the seniors. I come from a family of 8 children. Mom and Dad make 10. My mother is now 92. My dad died at 96. And I noticed that over time, those individuals are living longer, but maybe their mind or their body may be broke, but at the end of the day, I don't want them to lose all their financial. So I came up with financial liability reform, and I went to the bankers as well as the credit unions, as well as the financials that was holding their stocks or their bonds, and said, how do you protect somebody if somebody goes in and manipulates their account, or even the loved ones manipulate them and start to take money out of their account? And how do you stop that? And what kind of flags can we put into place? So after I got the legislation done and approved by the Senate, the House, and the governor, I decided at that point there that I wanted to put something in place for Macomb County and be leaders as to scams. No elderly person should be abused, nor should they be used and taking all their money that they worked so hard for their entire life. That's the time when they're supposed to enjoy their life, their golden years.
Yeah, and I totally agree. So what are you seeing at the prosecutor's office as far as cases? What's the most common case where an elderly person is a victim of a crime like this, money being taken out of bank accounts? What are you guys seeing? Is there a common theme to these scams and what seniors are having to deal with?
So that's a great question, because the seniors are now having to use all types of electronics, including their iPads, their computers, even their cell phones, because that is a computer. And then they go surfing the internet, which means they go on and want to buy something that they see. They use their credit card, and we see that these are some sites that are put into place just to scam you out of your money and take your money. They also try to get you on your bank accounts. We also see that people that have non-locked mailboxes. Non-locked means that anybody can go to their mailbox and take their mail out. They're looking at bank statements of theirs, because a lot of the seniors, like my mom and myself, are old school, which means they like to see their statement. They like to touch the statement. They don't want to see it online. They don't believe that their money's still going to be there online. And I don't blame them, because that's old school. That's the way they did business. As a result, if somebody gets to know the bank, gets to know the name on the account, gets to know the location of the account, there's ways then to go travel into the account if they're going to go ahead and see other information in the mail. We have everything mailed like our credit cards. Isn't that wild? A credit card that comes in says you got to validate it by calling this 1-800 number. How do they know who's on the other side? And they validate a card, and then all of a sudden somebody uses it. We see also porch pirates coming around when these goods are delivered, and that's the way society has gone now. Everything is going by way of truck to the front door, even our groceries. And people that leave the packages are pirated, and then the information that's contained in the package has sensitive information that they use to bilk the senior.
Yeah, we're seeing obviously the porch pirates. So the funny thing with people stealing packages on the porch, that was out of control, and then all of a sudden this thing called a Ring doorbell camera was invented, and really pretty much in law enforcement and for those types of crimes, best invention ever. Right now we have a camera on so many porches, and that has really calmed down, but it's still easy to steal mail out of a mailbox. Probably easier to get the mail out of the mailbox versus the front door, because the front door has a camera now, but we deal with that every single day in law enforcement.
And we tell these individuals that call the prosecutor's office and they said, look, I was just scammed. Most of them are embarrassed if it's a family member or a friend or a loved one. They don't want to report them, but they have to. And they have to call the Sterling Heights Police Department or any department, any county-wide if we're going to have this, this program air out to any other cities, townships, or villages. If you don't have a local police department in your locale and you're up in the north end, you call the sheriff's department. But if you're here in Sterling Heights and you feel that you were a victim of a scam, please contact the Sterling Heights Police Department, and they'll firsthand will know exactly what to do. And talk to the chief.
Yeah.
He's always willing to talk to you.
Yeah, Pete, you brought up an awesome point that this is the way we always see it. A family member comes forward and says, someone just stole $10,000 from my mom's bank account, $10,000. I'm like, well, how come your mom didn't report it? She's totally embarrassed. She was totally embarrassed. She didn't even tell her own adult grown children because she gave someone on the phone her bank account information, her phone number, their birth date, social security number, and she got scammed. Totally embarrassed. And then she didn't report it to anyone, let alone us. And then the adult child comes to us and says, my mom, they wiped out her entire checking account. Devastating. I mean, I'm sure you've seen these cases come across the desk, and then we have to figure out who did this to mom. But it's so important to report. There's nothing embarrassing about it. Someone scammed you.
And to your point, Chief, we had instituted a senior crime unit and consumer fraud unit as a result of this. Like you said, we're having an aged population here in Macomb and throughout the state. And families are shrinking. I came from a family of 8, and now they have families of 3. Like my own children, I have 3. They're shrinking. Now our age population has better medication, better physical therapy, and they're living longer. So therefore, there is more to it than what everybody may think, but we have to protect them because that's the greatest generation that ever lived, our seniors. And that's why we instituted a senior crime unit, specifically to do what we need to do to not only educate but also protect our seniors, as well as a consumer fraud unit.
Yeah, and you should be commended for that because that age population is only growing. Every single year we're going to see more and more of these scams. My mother now, who is in her late 70s, pushing 80, she probably every 2 weeks says, Dale, is this a scam? She sends me a screenshot on her iPhone, and it says, yes, we're just confirming your purchase of 4 iPhone 13s, and if you think this is fraud, please call us immediately. I'm like, no, Mom, that's a scam. They're going to have you call, and you're going to argue that I didn't order 4 iPhones. Oh, no problem. Just give us your bank account information, and we can refund your money. You know, quickly, and my mother's pretty with it. She's got her iPhone with her every day. But as that population ages, this is something that maybe someone in their 20s and 30s clearly knows is a scam, but they don't. And how many people fall for it every single day?
I always tell my mom, if there's something that comes in the mail, please don't call the number. Please don't go fill it out and put more information. And last but not least, Mom, when you pick up the phone, if you want to, there's a caller ID. If you don't know the number, don't pick it up because they're going to try to get information from you that they can use to take advantage of you.
Yeah, and even real charities we hear all the time. So I was just in my car yesterday going to lunch, and my phone rings, my cell phone. It says, "Hi, this is an organization of law enforcement officers. We're raising money for law enforcement." I'm like, number one, I don't know the name of the law enforcement agency you're talking about, and you're going to raise money, a fundraiser. Like, I don't know you. I have no idea what you're about to do, and I'm a police officer. I'm like, I'm not giving money to you. Like, I'm going to give money to people I know, and I will go find the charity, and whether that's a charity that supports children or the elderly or people with disabilities, I will find the charity. So to do it over the phone when someone cold calls you, you have no idea what you're about to do, and
You
probably
don't know
should
who
avoid
they
it.
are, and you don't know exactly what it is that they're going to do with the information you give them. So to your point, Chief, even you in law enforcement, the chief of this, Sterling Heights Police Department, one of the safest, in fact, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Safest cities in the state. And I got to tell you, great place to live, great people, but it's big. This is a big, big, big city. And I want everybody to know, if I may, Chief, these senior scam booklets, you can pick these up in the library here in Sterling Heights or any of your local libraries. We also have them in law enforcement agencies such as the Chief's Police Department. We want you to utilize these as a tool. If you can't get out, please go to our website. And Chief, the website on there is prosecutor.macombgov.org. That's prosecutor.macombgov.org. You'll be able to pull up the Senior Scams booklet on the website. It has fantastic information that is going to be a table of contents, and it'll tell you in red warning signs of identity theft, how to prevent it. It has telecommunications frauds, as we were talking about, the warning signs, and then the green, how to prevent it. Please take a moment, grab the booklet. It's an easy read. It has information from soup to nuts. We don't have enough time to go over everything, but after you read it and you digest it, you'll be able to identify things that you may have been doing that'll change the way you do what you do.
Yeah, and the seniors are one thing, and a lot of times seniors don't get out of the house to get this magazine. And I can see as an adult child now, and I'm obviously the police chief, but my parents call me more and more and more. I feel the roles start reversing at a certain point. Your parents lived in their 90s, so you become the caregiver, the protector, and they call you for advice. So that role switches from them taking care of you, Pete, as a young child for so many years, to you now protecting them, their money, their assets, becoming victims. I feel it every single day, and I think an adult child, someone that has elderly parents, should get this. They should know what's in here. I read the entire book.
Thanks,
and
Chief.
a lot of stuff about guardianship and about legal power of attorney, durable power of attorney. Some talking points about people that are in nursing homes and what they can legally do as far as getting a conservator and people who are going to look over their funds. You should know this. And so if you have an elderly parent that's going into a nursing home or assisted living, there's so many good references in here, and they should probably understand what's in here.
People don't think they have rights in a nursing facility, whether it be independent care, assisted living, whether it be memory care, any of those, they do have rights. And we outline and list the rights that one has when they go into these facilities. Even though it may not be your own home, it's where you live, it's your residence, and you as a resident have an absolute right. We also have people have called the office or called the police departments, and we prosecute on, there's no excuse for elderly abuse. These pamphlets you'll find in the libraries, also in law enforcement. It gives the agencies on the pamphlet itself that you can contact, as well as making sure that if your mother, your father, it could be a cousin, a grandma, grandpa that have been abused, these agencies will help them physically, but as far as the legal portion, that's up to the police department. And you call your local police department if you feel one of your elderlies have been abused. That's what we're here for. So if you've been abused as an elderly individual, you have to call. And the reason why is there's no other way to protect you. That's your physical body and your mind. If they're going ahead and they're trying to get information from you and you feel that, hey, enough's enough, call the police. Please use the police as your friend, not your enemy.
We've seen, Pete, for many years at these nursing homes and assisted living facilities, oftentimes the wrongdoing is pointed out by the employee. It's a whistleblower, and they work for the organization, and they say some really terrible things are happening here. These patients are being neglected, they're being mistreated, even some workers stealing credit card information, financial documents from someone sitting there that really has lost, a lot of their mental processing capability, and they're complete victims just waiting for someone to prey upon them. And then we have that whistleblower from inside the organization. On this pamphlet here, the No Excuse for Elder Abuse, it's great. It talks about the different phone numbers to call, who to report, even if you want to be anonymous, and all the different licensing agencies. And a lot of times our tips come from these organizations, and we go in and we get charges on somebody.
That's a good point that you brought up to the listeners and viewers, because but for those agencies, those individuals, you rely on them to take care of your loved one, your mother, your father, uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa, in those facilities. And if they're stealing their information or abusing them in any way, or even them reporting, those that take care of you in there, that family members may not be doing the job, it's important to say something, because why go through this trauma in your golden years? It's impossible to look at everything we can, but we've got to do and be good stewards of our elderly.
Yeah, it breaks my heart when I read that report about this poor woman at a nursing home, and she's pretty much bedridden. And then an employee stole her personal information. They opened up a bank account. They got a credit card under the person's name, ran up, tens of thousands of dollars. And I get so angry. Like, really, out of all people you can prey upon, it is the ultimate sin as far as I'm concerned. And the police department, we're going to go to the ends of the earth. I know as the prosecutor, you will go to the ends of the earth. Someone victimizes someone's grandma that's sitting there in a bed in a nursing home. I mean, I can't think of a worse human being that would do that, but it happens all the time.
We have victim advocates, Chief, and I know that that's something that law enforcement has to make sure they get the bad guys and the bad girls taken care of first and foremost. But once the process of the prosecutor starts, after you've finalized all the reports, given the prosecutor all the evidence, made sure you see all the video and footage and everything else that comes in there as evidence. We have to get a victim advocate, and we've got the greatest staff of victim advocates. And the one particular, we have one assigned purposely and intentionally to the senior crime unit. And that's because she is awesome taking care of the seniors. She's the frontline defense of their emotions, taking care of every day what they need to hear, what stages they're going to go through in the prosecution to get justice for our seniors. And you know why, Chief, we are like that? Because our parents raised us to take care of the moms and the dads. When we couldn't even take care of ourselves when we were born, they did the job for us then. We have to do the job for them now.
100%. I couldn't agree. You talked about the senior crimes unit, and I love this other flyer you have here. Your chief law enforcement officers, and especially on this back page here, you have a list of. You have a special prosecutor. I knew some of this, and I know you started. I went to a press conference with you a couple years back,
Yep.
and it was your animal protection unit that you
Right.
started, because that is such a hot button item. When someone abuses a dog, an animal, a cat, and this happens, and they're horrific crimes, and I know you were very staunchly saying, no, we're not going to tolerate this.
Right.
And yeah, so you have an entire list of prosecutors designed for every single one of these units. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, the helpful hint that everybody should realize is this. There is many units within the prosecutor's office. And as the chief said, we have an animal abuse unit that specializes in when an animal is distressed because somebody has abused the animal, we have a prosecutor that prosecutes the animal abuse, and they have their justice for their animal. You know, animals don't speak. I know if they did, they have a lot to say, but when an animal has been brought into a vet and the vet sees that there's been a problem, or a neighbor calls in the police department, said, we can't take it anymore. It's sub-zero weather and the dog's still outside, or the cat's still outside. So every unit is in here. So if you see these in the library, if you see these, it's our general unit pamphlet that can be identified as child protection. We have those units to make sure that if a baby comes into a pediatrician, they would call the police, they would call also Child Protective Services, and then the prosecution starts if they find that there was wrongful actions on part of a party.
Well, Prosecutor Lucido, I appreciate your time today, and I appreciate what you're doing for seniors, because we see it literally every day at our front desk. Someone's grandma, grandpa, father, mother gets scammed, and it hurts. It hurts the family. They're embarrassed to come forward. I'm so happy you have this. I'm happy that it's at our library. Your flyers are at our front desk. We have them. We appreciate everything the prosecutor's office does. We have a great partnership. We see each other on a regular basis, and it's all about catching the bad guy and then getting the appropriate charges so that we have a better quality of life. And in Sterling Heights, we have an awesome quality of life, and as you said before, safest big city.
Safest, Chief.
Yes,
You know what? You wear a big ribbon for that,
It's-
because it doesn't come easy, but you did it, and you're a large city.
Yep.
You are very, very large compared to other cities, townships, and villages that we deal with here in Macomb.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the partnership as always. That's all we have.
Thank you, Chief, for having me.
Thank you.
The prosecutor's office is proud to post and host at the same time a Senior S.C.A.M presentation public event. The next date is Tuesday, December 20th. That's Tuesday, December 20th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the location is Pine Ridge of Hayes, and it's located right on Hayes Road in Sterling Heights here. If you have any questions, please call area code 586-247-0901. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Senior S.C.A.M presentation.